using Pythagoras' theorem to find the side length A or the side length B. Remembering that the length C here is always the hypotenuse. For our first question, we want to find the length of x to 2 decimal places. So let's write out Pythagoras' theorem first, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We'll label our sides now, so the hypotenuse is always c, and then we want to label a and b, which I'm going to label this x side A and 2 meter side B. As a reminder, it doesn't matter which sides A and B are, as long as you use them consistently throughout the question. Let's substitute in our values. So we've got a squared, which is x squared, b squared, which is 2 squared, and c squared, which is 9 squared. Let's make this look a bit simpler, so we've got x squared plus 4 equals 81. Now we want to get the x term on a side on its own. However, we've got this plus 4 here. So in order to get rid of it, we need to take away 4 from both sides. So that will leave us with x squared equals 81, take away 4. Next we can work out the value on the right hand side, so x squared equals 77. Now we want to find x, but we've currently only found x squared. So in order to find x on its own, we need to do the inverse operation of squaring. So we'll square root both sides. And that will leave us with x equals the square root of 77. Enter root 77 into your calculator, and you'll end up with a value of x equals 8.77 meters to 2 decimal places. And there's your final answer. Very similar question. We want to find the length of x to 2 decimal places. So we'll write out Pythagoras' theorem first. So we've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Label our right angle triangle. So we've got the hypotenuse, which is always c, and I'll call side 19a and side xb this time. Substitute in our values, so we'll have 19 squared plus x squared equals 26 squared. We need to do some rearranging to get rid of this 19 squared from this side, so we'll take away 19 squared from both sides, and that will leave us with x squared equals 26 squared minus 19 squared. Working out that value, we've got x squared equals 676, take away 361, x squared therefore equals 315. In order to get x on its own, we need to square root both sides to eliminate that squared. So we'll be left with x equals the square root of 315. And then enter that into your calculator, and we'll be left with the answer x equals 17.7482, etc., etc., or x equals 17.75 centimeters to 2 decimal places. 3 questions for you to have a go with now. Find the length of x in each question to 2 decimal places. Pause the video and resume again when you're ready for the answers. So our first question, I'll write down a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we've got side c, I'm going to call this a and b. Substitute in our values, x squared plus 7 squared equals 9 squared. I'm going to calculate the indices, so we'll have x squared plus 49 equals 81. Take away 49 from both sides to get x on a side on its own, so we'll have x squared equals 81 take 49, x squared equals 32. And then square root both sides, so we'll be left with x equals the square root of 32. Pop that into your calculator and we'll be left with x equals 5.66 centimeters to 2 decimal places. Blue question now. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Hypotenuse is always c. I'm going to call this a and b. Substituting the values, x squared plus 12 squared equals c squared, which is 50 squared. I'm going to take away 12 squared from both sides here. So we've got x squared equals 50 squared. Take away 12 squared. You could type that bit into your calculator, or you could write it out in full. So x squared equals 2,500. Take away 144. X squared equals 2,356. Square root both sides. So x equals square root of 2,356. Therefore, x equals 48.54 meters to 2 decimal places. Lastly, the green question now. write out the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We've got the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, so we'll label it c. And we know it's this side because it's facing the right angle. And then I'm going to call this a and this b. Substituting the values, so we'll have 61.7 squared plus x squared equals c squared, which is 71.3 squared. Take away 61.7 squared from both sides, so we'll have x squared equals 71.3 squared minus 61.7 squared. X squared equals 5083.69 minus 3806.89. So x squared equals 1276.8. X is therefore the square root of 1276.8. So our answer will be x equals 35.73 millimeters to 2 decimal places. And that's all for this video. Give it a like if you found it helpful. Subscribe to get notifications for any new videos. And other than that, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.